Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your Bitcoin show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here on this Friday, the 5th of February, 2021. Welcome to the show. Listen, Bitcoin, we've got so many reasons why. I personally, my opinion is gold and silver are not going to be, when the real inflation hits, probably next year. Gold and silver are not going to be where they're going to run as much because they're frightening them off. Investors by this paper manipulation, and it never ends. Right now we've got a situation with silver where there's very little available for sale into the market, and there's a tremendous demand, but the price is falling. Does this show you how much control they have over the gold and silver market using paper derivative products? But the cryptocurrency market, they'd like to have that kind of control over cryptocurrency. But one of the reasons why they have that kind of control, say, over silver is it's undetermined, the actual amount of silver that's out there. I mean, people can argue back and forth. Oh, there's all kinds of silver. There's silver here. There's silver there. There's silver in the ground. There's silver. And they can argue back and forth. And another guy can say, well, no, we're running out of silver. No, you know. But it becomes an argument or a debate. And this allows these riggers or manipulators to manipulate the market because you'd have an undetermined quantity. What about Bitcoin? Everybody knows exactly how much Bitcoin's out there. 21 million total. But it's more than that. Bitcoin continues to be lost. And it'll continue to be lost into the future. And how it's lost is it's just basically a sieve. It's like a sieve out there, an enormous sieve. People will start up a wallet anywhere. They can start up a wallet. They might leave a little few satoshis in there when they clean their wallet out or whatever. It might be on their old computer, you know, and basically it was only worth a few bucks. And even though the prices went up, maybe it was $2 worth of Bitcoin back 2 years ago. Now it's $20 worth of Bitcoin. But they've forgotten about it. Maybe their computer even got destroyed. So did the Bitcoin. And you get that happening in multiple cases all over the world. It eats away at the total quantity. But we know what the total quantity is. So it's very difficult for them to manipulate it. Let's open the charts right here and take a look at what's going on. First, we'll start with the cryptocurrency price today. The cryptocurrencies, all of them, is $1,172,000,000,000 in this industry. So, ever since I've opened this channel up, guys, it's growing. Used to be, to talk about $1 trillion industry was when I first opened this channel. I mean, no, there's no way. Now it's stable over $1 trillion. Not a problem anymore, and that's because it's growing. Even if Bitcoin drops off in price, the networks and the use cases and everything for the cryptocurrencies is growing. And something I get a lot, an awful lot of people say. They say, well, Bitcoin's never going to work. And the reason why it only has 7 transactions a second, and for it to be a worldwide currency to be used in exchange everywhere, it would need to have far more transactions at 7 transactions a second. I'm going to tell you what they're missing. Bitcoin's never going to be used as a means of exchange to buy a cup of coffee or whatever. It's not going to happen. These other coins very well could take up that position, and they're capable of an awful lot more transactions per second. But I don't think any one particular one of these other coins is going to be used for that either. What they're going to do is they're going to distribute that. So say you're looking at Polkadot here, or you're looking at Cardano or Litecoin or these other coins. They can carry that load, that transaction load. And using Bitcoin as the core coin, that sets the price and moves the value of these assets back and forth. Almost like what the U.S. dollar does now. You've got uh, basically, how do I explain this to you guys? You've got all these different currencies around the world. You got the yen, you've got the yuan, you've got the British pound, you've got Swiss franc. I could go on and on and on for about 15 minutes of all the different currencies. And relate them to all of these different altcoins like Polkadot and Litecoin and Chainlink and all these different their altcoins are like the different currencies. The dollar's like Bitcoin. So in their system, with the dollar as a central reserve currency, and then all of these other currencies who are pegged loosely to that dollar, it works the same way. All of these other cryptocurrencies are pegged their value to Bitcoin. So how much is say Cardano worth in Bitcoin today? How much Polkadot worth in Bitcoin today? They all peg their value to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the store of wealth. It's the treasure full of gold, like the king's treasure, He's got all these gold coins and stuff in the vault and everything. And it's called the treasury. It's a storehouse of wealth for the kingdom, and then the rest of the people out there in the kingdom, they're using copper coins and stuff. They can't even afford one of the gold coins that's in the king's vault. That gold just sits in the king's treasury. It doesn't move. Well, that's the way with Bitcoin. It just sits there as a storehouse of wealth, or a reserve currency, while all these other coins can carry the load and the slack of buying a cup of coffee. So if you want to buy a cup of coffee, you don't use Bitcoin, you might use Polkadot. I'm talking about in the future. And they're capable of far more transactions per second than Bitcoin itself. So when will you use the Bitcoin? Well, because Bitcoin's value will be so exceedingly high, you'll move it when you want to make one transaction for something of great value. Like if you want to buy a hotel, you'll move a little bit of Bitcoin to buy the hotel. You're not going to use it to buy a cup of coffee. You're going to use it to buy something big and important. Like maybe you might want to move gold across country. You might want to move 5 tons of gold, from the United States to Europe. Well, instead of sending the gold, you'll just send the Bitcoin equivalent. What would it be? Like 7,000 Bitcoins or whatever? And it'd be so much easier than trying to move the 5 tons of gold. You see, we're moving into a new world, and we got to think about things like that. Let's take a look at this. Why is Bitcoin price rising? The key takeaways here are Bitcoin broke through a resistance level, and investors think it has further upside. Rising inflation and the potential for even more stimulus continues to push people to safe haven assets. And this is going to continue. It's going to get worse in the next year or two, much worse. We're heading into a hyperinflation, in fact. We're heading into the acceleration phase of a hyperinflation. And that's the period where things start to speed up again. That's the period where the economy starts to show signs of improving. But the velocity of money starts to go up. All that money they've already printed the hyperinflation, guys. Remember, they printed trillions and trillions and trillions? That money just hasn't made its way through to the fractional reserve system where they can multiply it. It's already done. The hyperinflation's already written into the cards, And if they try to stop now, to back out of this thing, the whole economy of the world's going to start to collapse, and then they're going to have to go back to it again, to more printing. It's the only answer they have. And so in this kind of environment, we're going to see Bitcoin just go up and up and up into the future, Yeah, it might have a little fall off here and there, but overall, it's just the same trend as we've seen for the last 10 years. It's going to continue that trend. So if you're holding Bitcoin, I would say that the long-term guy, the guy that HODLs, is going to make out the best. Just sit on it and forget about it, I would say don't sell your Bitcoin. Sell whatever else you got. You know, sell your shoes, sell your car, sell whatever else you got to stay alive. And if you got a little bit of Bitcoin, doesn't even matter. If you think your Bitcoin is only small and it doesn't mean anything right now, maybe you only got, say, 6% of one Bitcoin, and say you're holding that, right? And it represents not very much money. You know, 6% might be all you're going to need when this thing gets where it's finally going. It might be all you need to, it might save your butt. It might save your butt when we go into this hyperinflation. It might be the difference between you eating and you not eating. That 6% of a Bitcoin. So hang on to that sucker. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the very next show. Bye-bye.